You know that specific kind of guilt? The one you get when you look at a stack of unread books on your nightstand.
Oh, yeah. The I'll get to it someday pile.
Exactly. Or, for a lot of people listening, it's probably the digital version. That folder on your desktop labeled courses full of PDFs you bought at 2 in the morning,
Yeah.
but never, ever opened. You have the ambition, you paid the money, but nothing changes.
It's the classic knowledge execution gap. And honestly, it's becoming a huge problem. We're drowning in information, but we're completely starving for actual transformation.
So that's where we're starting this deep dive. We're looking at a really fascinating and, I'll be honest, a kind of bizarre set of documents. We're getting into something called the core reframe and this life is rich ecosystem.
It's a little unusual, to say the least.
It is, because the whole idea in this source material is that the solution to, say, your career stagnation or failing to learn a new skill,
Hmm.
it's not more discipline. It's not a better book.
Yeah.
They argue the solution is actually hidden in your grocery bill.
Specifically in how you buy soap and, toothpaste and laundry detergent.
Which sounds completely ridiculous. Let's just put that out there. I read the brief for this and I thought, are we serious?
It does sound ridiculous on the surface, but when you start to peel back the layers of this thing, it's actually a pretty sophisticated argument about ridiculous on the surface, but when you start to peel back the layers of this thing, it's actually a pretty sophisticated argument about environment design. It's basically proposing we use a 90-day evaluation of our household spending as a kind of laboratory
A laboratory for what?
to fix the way our brains process execution.
Okay, so we're going from I need a promotion to I need to analyze my toothpaste budget. I'm skeptical, but
Ugh.
all right, I'm listening. So let's start with the problem. Why does the source say we fail to execute? Why is that gap so wide?
So the documents, they highlight this really painful tension that I think everyone listening can relate to. On one side of your life, you have what they call high-stakes learning.
Okay.
This is the expensive stuff, coaching, certifications, that crypto course you bought. We pour money into these things because we want a big return. We want to change our reality.
Right. High intent. I'm buying this because I want to get a result.
Precisely. But the execution almost always falls apart. And the source argues it's because there's no structure underneath it.
No foundation.
Exactly. It's just information floating in a vacuum. You read the book, you get inspired, and then, life gets busy and you forget. The environment doesn't force you to use it. It's totally optional.
Okay, so that's the high stakes bucket. Lots of desire, very little structure. What's the other side of this?
The other side is the mundane, the boring stuff, household essentials. The source points out that every single month, you and pretty much everyone execute a complex logistical operation. You forecast, you budget, you procure supplies.
You mean I go to the supermarket?
Yeah, so you go to the supermarket, but think about it from a systems point of view. You spend, hundreds of dollars a month on autopilot? You never forget to buy toilet paper for 3 months. You don't say, "Ugh, I just don't have the motivation to buy dish soap today." The execution is 100%. But the intent, it's zero. You don't think about it. It's purely reactive.
So we have high intent and low execution
Yeah.
with our big goals. And we have low intent but perfect execution with our groceries. That's a really weird contrast when you lay it out like that.
It is. And here's the aha moment from the text. The core reframe is about smashing those two worlds together.
Oh.
What if you could take the automatic consistency of your grocery shopping and use that as a scaffold to build the discipline you need for your goals?
You're saying we hijack the habit.
We hijack the habit. The proposal is to use your existing, totally unavoidable sprouting to build what the text calls a leadership laboratory.
Okay, leadership laboratory is a cool phrase, but let's get concrete.
Eh.
How does this actually work? Because the document details a 90-day evaluation, but then it starts talking about a shopping club. And I have to be the voice of the listener here. As soon as I hear shopping club, my alarm bells are screaming. I'm thinking sales pitches, recruiting my neighbors, a garage full of stuff I don't need.
And you should be. Absolutely. The source material is actually incredibly self-aware about that exact reaction. They know what that phrase implies. In fact, a huge chunk of the intro is just defining what this thing is not.
Okay, go on. What isn't it?
It explicitly says, this is not a product pitch, it is not a business opportunity, it is not a discount club, and it's not a, quote, motivation cycle.
Okay, so if it's not a discount club, I'm not there to save 50 cents on bleach, and it's not a business where I'm selling the bleach, then what's the point? Why does it even exist?
It's an evaluation window. That's the key phrase. A 90-day window to observe reality. The mechanism, the thing you do, is you join this shopping ecosystem. The doc even gives specific numbers, a $19 annual membership, and a commitment to shop for about $130 worth of products a month.
But pause right there. I have to pay $19 and then I have to spend $130 a month to learn leadership. That sounds a lot like I'm just being forced to buy stuff.
This is the hurdle. This is the mental leap, right? And this is where the reframe is so crucial. The text just emphasizes this over and over. The products are not the value proposition.
The soap is not the value.
No. In this model, the $130 isn't the price of the goods. It's the admission fee to the whole ecosystem. Think of it like a gym membership.
Okay.
When you pay $100 a month for a gym, you aren't paying to rent a treadmill. You're paying for the environment where you can change your body.
Right. I don't own the treadmill. I'm just paying for access to the tools.
Exactly. The argument here is you're already spending that $130 somewhere else, at a big box store or on Amazon. You're just shifting where you spend it. But by shifting it here, that spending becomes your tuition to access the real value.
Which is,
Yeah.
if I'm not getting magic soap, what do I actually get?
You're getting coaching, strategy, and most importantly, accountability. The idea is to give you access to a mentor who helps you look at your life systems. But, and this is the key, they use your shopping behavior as the primary data set.
That is a weird connection. Why does a coach need to know if I bought vitamins to help me with my career path?
Because, as the source puts it, coaching without real-life data doesn't stick. I mean, if you hire a normal life coach, you just talk. How are you feeling? What are your goals? It's all abstract. You can lie to your coach. You can lie to yourself.
That's true. Yeah, I had a great week. I was totally focused. Meanwhile, I watched Netflix for 20 hours straight.
Exactly. We're great at spinning stories. But in this laboratory, the data is binary. Did you log in? Did you place your order by the deadline? Did you manage your budget? Did you execute? It makes the invisible visible.
Those are tests.
It's more of a baseline. If you can't manage the basic logistics of a simple recurring order, the argument is, you probably aren't ready to manage a department or a startup or some complex new project.
The how you do one thing is how you do everything idea.
Yeah. Spot on. It's low-stakes practice. If you mess up here, you just miss a shipment of toothpaste. It's not a disaster. You don't get fired.
Yeah.
But it reveals your patterns. Are you a procrastinator? Are you disorganized? The shopping cart becomes a mirror.
I like that phrase, the cart is a mirror. So the whole point is to move from unconscious habit, just grabbing stuff off a shelf, to intentional design.
Yes, and the documents actually map this out. There's a diagram that shows the progression. It goes from habit to leadership. It's really the core curriculum of this whole 90-day experiment.
Let's walk through that model, because I think this applies even if you never go near this specific club. What's stage one?
Stage one is just habit. This is the default state for 99% of us. We're reactive. We run out of milk. We buy milk. We feel insecure about our skills. We buy a course. We're just responding to things. There's no plan, just reaction.
That's autopilot mode, just drifting.
Right. Then you enter the 90-day evaluation. This moves you into stage two, system.
What changes there?
Visibility. You're no longer just shopping. You're following a protocol. You have a deadline, the order date. You have a constraint, the budget. And you have an observer, the coach. Suddenly, a mundane chore has structure. You have to observe how you operate inside a system. You have to plan ahead.
It forces you to be mindful about something that was totally mindless before.
Exactly. And if you stick with that, if you master that, you get to stage three, leadership.
And how are they defining leadership here? Because usually we think of leading other people, giving speeches, that kind of stuff.
Here it's defined as intentional choices based on evidence. It's your ability to direct your own resources, your money, your time, your energy, towards a specific outcome, no matter how you feel that day. The source makes a parallel here back to our execution gap. They use a little formula. Information plus environment results.
Okay, break that down.
Well, we usually think the formula is information plus willpower equals results.
Right.
If I just know enough and try hard enough, I'll win. The source says no. Knowledge doesn't fail. That AI course you bought is probably fine. Your environment fails.
So if you don't have a container that forces you to execute, the knowledge just evaporates.
Correct. The 90-day evaluation is just a container. It's a training environment. It's designing a space where execution becomes the path of least resistance.
You know, I want to touch on the user experience for a second. Because usually when you sign up for a system that promises growth, the vibe is so high pressure, crush it, hustle, Optimize your life from day one.
The whole rise and grind mentality, yeah.
But reading the welcome message in this document, it feels really different. It's almost quiet.
It's anti-hype. I mean, let me just quote the day one message because it's so distinct. It says, "No one here is expected to perform, optimize, or prove anything. The only expectation is honesty and consistency."
That is incredibly rare.
Yeah.
It's basically saying, we don't want you to impress us.
It's the scientific method applied to your own life. A scientist doesn't try to impress the microscope. They just observe what is. The source says you don't decide whether a system belongs in your life until you've observed it working inside your life.
That's the North Star principle they keep mentioning.
Right. Observe before you judge. We're so quick to judge, oh, this is a scam, or oh, this is going to save my life. The source just says, stop. Suspend all that judgment for 90 days. Just collect the data, see what happens.
It really treats the user like an adult. It's not trying to get you all emotional about the decision.
It does. It says leaders don't rush to conclusions. They need a sample size first.
So, okay, let's fast forward. The 90 days are up. I've bought my soap. I've talked to the coach. I've tracked my system. The experiment has to end. What happens then?
This is the moment of truth. This is that leadership stage we talked about. The user makes a decision, but for the first time, they're making it based on actual evidence, not just an assumption or a feeling.
And what are the options?
Well, outcome A is they see the value. They realize, hey, consolidating my shopping actually saved me time. The coaching helped me get clear in my career. I actually like the structure. So they decide to keep the system.
Okay, that's the happy path. But what about outcome B? What if I do the 90 days and I say, you know what? I hate this. It's annoying. I miss my old brand of detergent.
And you leave. You just walk away.
And in most business models, that's a failure. That's churn, a lost customer.
But here, and this is what's really interesting, the source argues that leaving is also a successful outcome.
How can losing a customer be a success? That sounds like marketing spin.
It sounds like it, I know, but look at the logic. Success isn't about keeping the customer. Success is about how the decision was made. If the person completed the protocol, evaluated the data, and made an informed no, that's a win. The source calls it decision-making discipline.
So you're not failing if you say no. You're just concluding the experiment.
That's a great way to put it. You're concluding the experiment. It totally changes the dynamic. It shifts the whole thing from sales to stewardship.
Explain that. Stewardship versus sales.
Well, if I'm trying to sell you something, I need to convince you it's perfect. I have to handle your objections, keep you hyped up so you don't quit. It's a push dynamic.
Right, the retention team chasing you down with discounts and emails.
Exactly. But stewardship is more like, look, here is a system. It works for some, it doesn't for others. Your job is to test it properly. My job is to help you test it. If you filter for people who choose the club after a rigorous 90-day test, you don't have to sell them anymore.
They've already sold themselves.
They aren't tolerating the system. They are choosing it. They're not victims of a subscription. They're owners of a process. This, the source argues, creates a community that's anchored in real responsibility, not hype.
Which also explains why they're so aggressive about the no-selling rule.
Yes, the document is emphatic. No requirement to sell, no requirement to recruit. Because the second you introduce a financial incentive to get your friends to join, you ruin the laboratory.
It corrupts the data.
Completely. You stop observing reality and you start trying to manipulate it to make a buck. If the goal is pure evaluation, you can't have sales pressure in the mix. It has to be a clean environment.
You know, stepping back from the specifics of this shopping club, because not everyone listening is going to go find this specific program, the philosophy itself is really powerful. It reminds me of, like, weightlifting.
It is exactly like weightlifting. It's all about capacity building.
See more about that.
Well, we all want to handle bigger things, right? The bigger salary, the bigger team, bigger projects, but we rarely stop and ask, do I actually have the capacity to handle that complexity? We think capacity just magically appears when we get the promotion.
Right, I'll rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
But we usually just sink to the level of our training.
Correct. But if you can build the capacity to manage a simple, low-stakes system, to show up, to be consistent, to be honest about the numbers when no one is watching, you're building the muscle memory to handle the big stuff later.
It's weightlifting for your executive function.
That is a perfect metaphor. You don't walk into a gym and try to bench press 300 pounds. You start with the empty bar. You perfect the form. That $130 shopping order, that's just the empty bar. It's form practice.
And once you have perfect form, then you add the weight. Then you apply that same thinking to your business or your education.
And that closes the gap. That is how you solve the knowledge execution gap. Not by learning more secrets, but by building an environment where execution is just what you do.
It forces you to look at all the mundane parts of your life, the soap, the calendar invites, and ask a hard question. Is this serving me? Or is this just a habit?
Is this intentional or is this just automatic?
That's the definition of leadership, isn't it? Moving from automatic to intentional.
It is, and it's available to everyone. You don't need a new title to start doing this. You just need to look at your credit card statement and start asking different questions.
So we've unpacked this core reframe. We've looked at the 90-day evaluation, this life is rich ecosystem, and the whole idea of using your spending as a laboratory. It's a move from just buying knowledge to actually building an environment that ensures execution.
From gathering information to building the structure for results.
Yeah. As we wrap up, I want to leave our listeners with a bit of a challenge. Because even if you don't do this specific thing, the principle holds true.
The principle is universal.
So here's the thought for today. If you looked at your own life right now, your career, your hobbies, your personal growth, where are you heavily investing in knowledge? Where are you buying the books and the courses?
And then ask yourself, have you built an environment to support that knowledge? Or are you just hoping it'll stick this time?
And deeper than that, are the decisions you're making based on real evidence or just assumption?
That's the question. Evidence or assumption?
You can answer that. You're already halfway there. Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.